Sports Video Group's Jason Dackman. We're in Times Square, New York City, and College GameDay is in town. ESPN is here on site for the first time in New York City with College GameDay. I'm with Bob Braunlich from ESPN, VP Remote Production Operations. Bob, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
So, Bob, this is many years in the making. This is not just a new development. Tell us a little bit about all the planning that's gone into this over close to a decade almost at this point.
Yeah, I would say anywhere in 7 to 10 years ago, we started to get the idea of would it be cool to come to New York City and do a show. And we investigated coming here. Unfortunately, due to some construction in Times Square, the space just wasn't available to put people because our footprint is pretty good. It's a pretty good size, as you've seen, okay? So we had to come back and look at it a few times, and now this year, things just fell into place to do the show this weekend, okay? And the plaza is great. It's small. It's probably about a third the size of what we normally use, but we figured out how to fit all the elements in, or at least so far they're fitting in.
Right. And so what are those challenges? I mean, being in the middle of Times Square doing a live event with a crowd, a live production on this scale, what are some of the big things you guys had to confront?
Well, Times Square never stops. So I was here last night at midnight when we started to bring the stage pieces in and the demo field that we're standing on right now, et cetera. There's still a lot of people here at midnight, okay? And I stayed here till 3 a.m. When I left once the stage got into place because then I felt pretty comfortable that, okay, we're in pretty good shape. But even at 3 a.m., there's a constant parade of people. There's cabs coming down the street to back trucks in, to run forklifts around, et cetera. Just presents challenges on logistics as to how you move things, okay? So figuring out how all the pieces go together, figuring out how you adapt to a space, you get things in here, and then tomorrow when we finish getting things out of here, were all challenges to make work.
Right, and you guys are working closely with ABC News and Good Morning America. Tell me a little bit about that Disney-centric collaboration.
Well, there's a couple of partners that we really worked with here. Absolutely, with Disney and with ABC, the Times Square studio people, we are using facilities from Times Square Studios, which ABC News manages along with Disney people from Times Square Studios. But it's a big collaboration of things because we looked at putting a truck here. Space requirements would not allow us to put a truck. We thought if we're going to move to a different truck, which would be a single wide instead of a double wide, then we may as well use the facilities here because it's not our same facility that we use every week. If we're going to change anyway, it would be best to use the Times Square stuff. Plus, it made a lot more sense to do that.
Sure, no question.
So we are using the facilities from Good Morning America. That alone presents a few challenges because they're on the air each day. So a lot of cooperation on this, okay? Another group that we worked with very closely was a group called Ideco Productions. And they're based here in New York City. A couple of people that run that and that own that were involved with city government in a past career and know all the people to talk to and what permits you have to get and who you need to see to get things done. They were instrumental in making all this happen because it's one thing to take up part of a block. It's another thing to say, we want to use the entire block, okay, and shut it down. So they've been extremely helpful. Fire department, police department. There's a lot of cooperation across the board here.
Sure. And last thing, some unique camera positions. Obviously, you're not going to have the exact same setup you would on a college campus as you do in the middle of Times Square. Tell me about some of those unique tools you guys have.
Well, Good Morning America owns 2 robotic cameras. One is on a pole about a block away from us, and we'll use that to kind of show the crowd around us. There's another one on the front of their building, and then across the street at the Hard Rock Cafe, the Good Morning America people told us, hey, we put a jib up on that marquee before. Right. Would you guys be interested? And once again, this is a good example of cooperation, okay? They said to us, hey, we have some video. We could show you what it looks like from there. They showed us. We said, this shot looks fantastic. Let's do it. And we have a jib over there on the Hard Rock marquee.
That's great. Well, Bob, we really appreciate you taking some time. You're on very little sleep considering setup was about 1 a.m. this morning. So thank you so much for joining us. And we'll see you on the road soon.
Thank you.
Sports Video Group is covering Game Day in New York. Stay tuned to sportsvideo.org for more news on ESPN's work in Times Square.